welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to crochet the Highland Twist Headband. This headband is a free crochet pattern that you can find on my website. I will have a link below in the description for you if you'd like to go check that out. This pattern works up so quickly. I'm using a super bulky yarn, the Lion brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick yarn. It's made from 2 rectangle panels that are then sewn together, creating this modern twist that you see here at the top. I was able to make my headband in 30 minutes, and I was able to make 2 of the headbands with just 1 ball of the Lion brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick yarn. For the size small, you only need approximately 2.9 ounces or 52 yards. And you will also need a size N/P or a 10.0 millimeter crochet hook. You will also need some stitch markers that you will use to attach your rectangles together and sew your panels together at the end. We're going to be using a simple half double crochet stitch variation for this pattern. It's basically working your half double crochet in the 3rd hidden loop, and I will show you how to work that stitch. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and chain 46 for the size small medium. If you'd like the instructions for the size large, head on over to the blog to get those instructions. Now, before I start, I am going to be getting my yarn on my hook, but I'm going to leave a long length of yarn, approximately 14 inches long, to help sew together at the end. So I'm just going to eyeball this here. And this way I can use this whole length of yarn in order to sew my panel together. And then chain 46. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For row 1, which will be my right side, so we're going to work a half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, the 3rd chain over, work a half double crochet, and half double crochet is yarning over, inserting our hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Those skipped chains are going to count as my first stitch. And again, this is the right side of my work. In order to mark that and not lose track of the right side, I'm just going to go ahead and place a stitch marker. And now I'm going to work a half double crochet in every chain to the end. So again, in each chain, just working 1 half double crochet, and continue that on down your chain. Once you've worked a half double crochet in every chain, we're going to turn for row 2 and chain 2. The chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch, and we're going to be working a half double crochet again, but we're going to be working that half double crochet in a little bit of a different place than what you might be used to. So here is the top of my half double crochets from the previous row, and typically these are those the V stitches, that V shape, and you would work underneath those 2 loops typically, but we're going to be working in this loop here. So when you see the top and just move it forward, you can see this 3rd loop right here, and so I'm going to be working a half double crochet in that 3rd loop in the front of my stitch, and I'm going to be working that half double crochet in that front 3rd loop all the way down this row. And what that does, because remember my previous row is the right side, so on the right side of my work, you can see it pushes those 2 loops forward to give this a really nice ridged texture on the front. So we're just going to continue on down that row, working in that front 3rd loop, a half double crochet in every stitch. So when I've worked in every stitch, I get to the end of my row, and remember those skipped stitches at the beginning are going to count as a stitch, so I need to work a half double crochet in those skipped stitches for my last stitch. Now we're going to turn for row 3. This is my last row, and I'm going to chain 2, and again that chain 2 will not count as a stitch, and I'm going to work a half double crochet in every stitch, but this time I'm going to be working in the back loop only of each stitch to the end. So now I'm going to be looking at those V stitches again, and I'm going to be working in just the back loop. So I'm going to be up working in this V stitch, but I'm going to only grab the back loop. So inserting my hook into that back loop only, working a half double crochet. The back loop only, half double crochet. And so you're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop of every stitch. And again, let's take a look at that texture that we're creating. So this was from row 2, working in that hidden third loop, and now it's pushing these loops forward to mimic the look of that row here and giving this really nice texture. So continue on working a half double crochet in the back loop of every stitch. So I've completed that row working a half double crochet in the back loop of every stitch, and now I'm going to fasten off, and I'm going to again leave a nice long length of yarn before I fasten off. You will only need to do this for one of the rectangles. Your second panel, you can just fasten off a normal length for weaving in. So cut that. And now we're ready to make our second panel. I'm going to be using my second color to make my second panel, but you could certainly use the same color for your whole headband if you'd like. So go ahead and repeat all those instructions to make a second rectangle. So I've finished both of my panels. I have them here side by side, and they're both facing the right side up. You can remember here that I did mark the right side, but it is pretty easy to see the difference between the two. The wrong side is pretty flat, and the right side is going to be the one that has the ridges from working in those third loops and in the back loops. So now to create that twist, what you're going to do is you're going to lay this one over top of the bottom one, and of course that's with the right side facing up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold those ends in towards the center on both sides. So when we fold these together, I'm going to use stitch markers to keep them in place because I'm going to be sewing this together. So I'm just going to place stitch markers down here at the bottom. Up at the top. I'm going to use this one that I had to mark the right side. Take that out. And then I'm going to attach these together. And of course this isn't really necessary, but it just helps me to keep everything together and see what I'm doing. So now the first seam that I'm going to sew is going to be the back seam here. So from the bottom, because remember I kept that long length of yarn, and I'm going to use it to sew up this back seam. So I'm just going to get that on my needle. So I'm just going to line these up. And I'm going to whip stitch back and forth, picking up yarn from both ends. to make my back seam. Once you've sewn up that back seam, you can go ahead and remove those stitch markers you had to keep everything in place. And now I want to sew this middle seam here. I'm going to count 16 stitches over on both panels and mark that through with my stitch marker. So counting over, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So I'm going to mark that stitch, and then on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now I'm going to take that stitch marker that I placed on the other side and use it to hold it together, so that will mark that stitch for me, so I'll know to stop sewing when I get to that stitch marker. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Place the stitch marker through both sides. So now I'm going to sew these seams together with those long lengths. I should have one for each seam. So I'm going to start this one and work this direction. And I'm going to be working my needle through this front loop here. This is that third loop, the front third loop, because if I were to look, these are the top, those V stitches there. That's the top of my half double crochet. So I'm working in that front third loop, and then I'm going to be putting my needle through on the other side in that unused bottom loop from that panel. And that's from that initial chain that I did. So beginning our seam, working in that hidden third loop, coming down, and then picking up that unused loop on the other side. That front third loop, the bottom loop, and just work back and forth. And then we're going to finish by working in those marked stitches, removing our stitch marker, and we've sewn up that first seam. Now we're going to repeat that for the other side. Then you can go ahead and weave in your ends, and we'll have our headband complete. So I've completed my Highland Twist head wrap. And look how nice that looks with two colors. I do enjoy it, both in the solid and in the two color like this. And it would be a great way to use up extra yarn that you might have, scraps of yarn that you might have lying around. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Thanks so much for being with me. As always, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss a new video. You can find me at nanascraftyhome.com, where you can find all of my free patterns and tutorials. Remember to subscribe to my newsletter. I send out a couple of newsletters every month by email, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it, and it will notify you of any of my future patterns as well. The best way to support my channel is, if you like this video, to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.